Hi everyone, I'm Jodie Ann Senior. I'm a heart failure specialist. I'm joining you today to talk about some of the important aspects of fluid management in heart failure. This can be the difference between comfortable, healthy, free survival, quality of life, and even hospitalisation and death. If you get this right, you're going to go a long way to improving your overall chances of good health and a good life, and hopefully longevity as well. So you've got a plan for good results, and heart failure management, and in particular fluid balance, is no different. There are some simple tools that are very helpful. So you must have a pair of digital scales. If you don't own one, get some. If you can't read them, get ones that have the really big digital numbers, or borrow one. They're not terribly expensive, but yeah, or ask someone to give you one as a present if you've got a birthday or a Christmas or whatever coming up. I'm sure family will help out. Anyway, you need a pair of scales. What you're going to do is every day you're going to get out of bed, go to the bathroom, empty your bladder, then you're going to go turn your scales on, stand on your scales, see what weight it is, grab your trusty notebook or piece of paper. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Get your pen, open it up, write down the date and the weight. You're going to record that, and you're going to take those weights to your doctor when you go for your visits. Or if you have phone calls and you're not sure what's going on, this is the best way to track what's going on with your fluid balance, because weight is objective. It doesn't lie on the whole, and it gives us the best estimate of what's happening with the water. 1 litre of water is equal to 1 kilogram in weight. And so any rapid fluctuations between one day and the next will give us an exact idea of what's happened with fluid exchange, what's come in versus what's gone out. So this is a really important way to actually track what's going on. Now, you need a target weight to aim for. If you don't know what that should be, then ask your doctor. If they don't know what it is, or you haven't gotten to that yet, then think about a time when you felt quite well, that you weren't struggling with breathing difficulties or fluid retention in your legs or your arms or your belly or wherever, and work out what that weight was. It might have been 3 months ago, it might have been 3 weeks ago, but wherever you were tracking along quite nicely and then suddenly things went pear-shaped, that's probably the weight you need to be. So if 6 months ago that was 70 kilos and now you're 75, then you know that you need to actually get rid of probably about 5 kilograms or 5 litres of water worth out of your body. And once you do that, you're going to feel a lot better. So you're going to track that using your little journal or paper or book or whatever it is you have, and your scales. And every morning you're going to weigh yourself. We don't want to be worried about our muscle or our fat, how heavy we are. It's really tracking a pattern. It's tracking for us, whether things are getting worse, getting better. But this is water weight we are concerned with, and we're looking for the ebbs and flows in your weight as a guide to water weight. And the target weight, say that's 65 kilos, is what we want to try and maintain once we get there. So to achieve that, you may need to restrict your water intake. You definitely do have to do this if you are on diuretics, to get rid of more water via your kidneys and your bladder. So usually patients are asked to hold around about a 1.5 litre fluid restriction. It may be different for you, but 1.5 is generally the target. You will not lose fluid from your body if what you drink in is 2 litres and your kidneys only put out 1.5. You also won't, in fact, you'll gain weight and you'll gain water. You also won't lose it if you are drinking 1.5 litres in and you only put 1.5 litres out. So you either have to then cut the input or increase the output. It's as simple as that. To increase the output, you will need diuretics prescribed by your doctors, and they will increase the activity of the kidneys, pushing the water out of your body. And as long as that is remaining in a negative balance, at the end of the day, what comes in is less than what goes out, you are going to lose weight, and fairly rapidly, we hope. So, how do you track what's going in? I would recommend having something like this just happens to be one I have, a water bottle that has markings on the sides. So you may not be able to see this, but there are markings up the side of this bottle. They go to 800 mils. This would be great. It's not 1.5 litres. If you can find one that's 1.5 litres, excellent, because that's perfect if you're on a 1.5 litre fluid restriction. However, if you only have something like this and it's 800, then okay, you do 800 and then you do another 700 for the day, and that's it. Now I hear you ask, what happens if I have a cup of tea? Okay, so let's say you're making this at home and that's your tea cup, and let's say you already pre-filled your bottle for the day, which I would recommend you do. And let's say by this time in the afternoon, you have this much of your water balance left. You can see it going down and you know how much you've got left for the rest of the day. So if you're only on your first 800 and you've got 700 to go, you've got plenty to play with, it's fine. I would suggest you then pour that amount of water into your cup. Now, you're not going to drink this because you're going to have your tea or coffee or whatever. I would suggest rather than waste it, tip it on a little pot plant, which I'm going to just do now. Then I don't waste it. Something like that. And now you've got your mug free to actually go have your cup of tea, just normally via the kettle, etc. Same if you have a juice, although I don't recommend you drink juice in general, or at least not routinely, because it's just a lot of water and sugar, not great for you. But you know, if you have one once in a while, it's not going to be too much of a problem. So that's how you would work it out. The rest of the time you can just drink straight from the bottle if you want, or pour it in a glass and drink it out of that. It really doesn't matter, as long as you are keeping a good record of what's actually been consumed. I recommend you don't guess too much about these, just, oh, I think that's about this, or I think that's about that, because I guarantee you by the end of it, there's been a fair bit of miscalculation, underestimation, overestimation, whatever it is. It's a bit like a diet. If you've got accurate calculations and data, however, it will be much, much easier to do, much easier to stick to, and much easier to track. Now, we're recording what's happening on the scales. We may be recording what's going in, or just keeping it real simple and sticking to one and nearly not quite two of these, and that's perfect. What else are we doing? Well, as I said, you've got to reach your target weight. Once you reach your target weight, you then have to keep it. Keeping it is as simple as making what goes in equal what goes out. That might mean an adjustment of input. It might mean an adjustment of how much you pass out. How do you adjust that? Lower the diuretic dose with your doctor's advice and aid, not on your own, preferably. Unless you're very comfortable doing this and you've been doing it for a while, in which case you may have a good idea of what to do with the diuretics, but guidance is good, so ask for help. And then, yeah, the idea is to stay within about 1 kilo of that range. So you've now got your target weight, which was 65 kilos. You want to stay within 1 kilo of that. So every day you're tracking. Over the week, you'll see yourself go up a bit, down a bit. Some days you'll go up 2 days and then down 1 the next, or whatever it might be. But as long as you're hanging within about 1 kilogram range of that baseline weight, then you are going well. if that's not what's happening, then how do I know when to ask for help? Well, if your weight is consecutively going up and it's not coming down, once you get over 2 kilograms beyond your target weight, that's time to do something different, definitely to reach out for assistance. So ring your GP, ring your specialist, email them, call them, whatever you do, but you need a plan of attack for what happens. Now, if they've given you one already, that's great. You go over your 2 kilos, you know you have to take an extra furosemide or fluid loss tablet. Great, do it, and then see that you're getting the results within the next day or two. If that's not happening and not going to plan, again, reach out and get help. Don't sit with this, because the longer you go and the more you accumulate, the worse it's going to get, the more likely you are going to be admitted to hospital, unwell. I have a patient just now who's in hospital who came in and he was very short of breath, doing anything. And he was quite literally terrified of going to sleep. Lying down was making him extremely short of breath. So he used to sit up in a chair just to try and breathe and hope that he wouldn't sink down when he fell asleep. This was not his usual state, of course, and things were really not going well. Of course, he came in and we did this, and he actually lost fluid quite rapidly with the diuretics because he hadn't really ever been on much before. And he went down quite rapidly, about 10 litres or 10 kilograms in weight. So he came in at 95. He was quite a tall fellow. He had fluid in his legs and probably in his belly and definitely in his lungs. And within a few days, he'd lost 6-7 kilograms already. And of course, at that point, he's already breathing much better. He's so relieved he can lie down to sleep. He's moving around quite comfortably. He's doing things that he was having trouble before. He couldn't dress, shower, eat, talk without feeling short of breath. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't lie down. So all of a sudden, he's feeling a lot better because he's diuretic. He's gotten rid of that extra weight in water. And let me tell you, like, if this is 2 litres of water, he's offloaded 10. 5 of these big jugs of water has come out of his body, out of his lungs, out of his legs, out of his belly. It's all come out. And so not surprisingly, he feels significantly better. So of course now he wants to go home. However, I said to him he couldn't go home until we reached the plateau, until we reached the point at which he's at his dry weight or target weight, that weight that we estimate is the right amount of fluid sitting in his body and in his circulation, such that he will function optimally. And this is when his medications will have the best chance of working for him, because he'll be absorbing them well and they'll be more bioavailable. And he's going to hopefully be able to maintain that. So we get him to the target weight, and then we get everything balanced, the diuretics and so forth. And then we're able to teach him to keep it there. And when he keeps it there, he's got the best chance of staying free of hospitalization, much, much less chance of feeling dreadful every time he tries to do something. He'll now have freedom to do all the things that he wants to do. And we'll keep him out of hospital, but also because the medications have a better chance of working, we're hopefully going to allow him the best chance at getting more, not just quality of life, but as long a life as is possible for him. So those are the primary reasons we bother doing all of this, and why I teach it, and why it's the thing that I teach over and over and over again. And I think it's probably one of the most important things for a patient with heart failure to learn. So there are obviously questions that come with that. As I said, the trigger point might be that your weight's gone up a couple of kilos and you need an action plan, or if not, you're ringing for help at that point and not leaving it until you get 10 litres fluid overloaded, which was not his fault, by the way, because he didn't know this, but now he knows this, and that's what he'll do when he goes home. He's going to reach out for help before that happens, and then we're probably going to be able to keep him from bouncing back into hospital, really critical to the whole process. So You definitely need to be concerned if you're not tracking properly, and you need to get some help if that happens. So if your weight jumps up within a couple of days, more than a couple of kilograms, that's a trigger point. If your weight goes down drastically from where you are, that might also be a trigger point. If that's happening, you may actually get into the possibly be a little bit underhydrated. That could be a risk. Then you might need your kidneys checked, you might need a visit with the doctor, your blood pressure might suffer for it, you may get lightheaded, dizzy, you might find actually that you stop urinating so much. So, there's a variety of things that might happen. Your electrolytes probably need to be monitored. So again, that's a blood test, because as you lose water, depending on the drugs used to do it, you may also be losing potassium and magnesium. They'll get out of balance potentially. So all of these things in terms of how you're managing it also depend on that you're feeling not too unwell. If you are feeling very unwell, if you are very breathless, if you are very dizzy, if you are having palpitations or chest pain, then you need to seek medical help. Don't wait. Go to hospital and seek some help from your specialist. Got to also remember that in the case of heart failure, the diuretic, when you're retaining too much water, your diuretics might not be actually working. They may not be absorbed well from your body when you, and then your kidneys won't respond to them. Or if your blood pressure is too low, that might also impair the response of the kidneys. So these things sometimes need to be adjusted and fine-tuned, and that can be done with the help of your doctor or specialist. So do ask for help if you need it. Don't put it off. The sooner you correct the problem, the sooner you're back at home, or better yet, you don't even bounce into hospital in the first place. So, the control of the fluid balance is probably the thing that's going to keep you well and out of hospital and probably not die. So I urge you to practice getting this right and fine-tuning it and understanding it for yourself. Again, if you're not quite following what you should do, just ask questions. We're here to help. We're here to help that education. And once you get it, you'll really understand what you're doing much better. And it's not so difficult once you actually know what you're doing. And this makes all the difference in your health and well-being. So I urge you to spend a bit of time to learn that. If you are struggling with any of these things, reach out to your medical team. A nurse practitioner or a heart failure coordinator can help you work these things out as well. If you've got access to a heart failure rehab program, then also utilize those, because they can help support your learning of these things. But in the absence of all of that, you've got this video. You can play it over and over again until you understand what you're doing. God help me if you have to watch me multiple times, but yeah, whatever. This is here to help you. This isn't about me. What else can I help you with? I'm sure there's many more things. So if there's something that I didn't cover that you want covered, can you please let me know in the comments? Please reach out. And I hope that this will help you on your journey with heart failure. I hope you now know that you have in your power a very, very good chance of getting to health and well-being. Even if your heart's sick, you can be well, and you can get to a position where you can do most of the things that you want to do like anybody else. And perhaps even to the point that if you're passing someone in the street, they're not even going to know that you have heart failure. So that's the ideal situation to be in. And with a bit of work and fine-tuning, you can potentially achieve that. It may take a little time, it may take a little work, but it can be done. And in fact, it can be done by most people with heart failure. In my experience, majority of my patients manage this, and their lives are worlds better for it. So again, I know I say this over and over and over again, but I think this is one of the most valuable things that you can learn to do for yourself. And you do it with our help to fine tune it and get it right for you individually. And it's going to make a huge difference to your life. So thank you for listening. Really appreciate that. If you know any other people that would benefit from this, please share. Please like this if you found this helpful. Please subscribe because we put out videos every week. Yeah, reach out if there are certain things that you want to know. I'll try and accommodate that if I can. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your attention, and I'll see you next time.